Hello, YouTube. It is your boy GZTV with the second of 3 videos today. We are back to talk about Dexter. We are a little over halfway through the show. We just watched kind of like that mid-season finale. And now we're on episode 7, Chemistry. Let's talk about it. So, following Dexter and Hannah's impulsive sex on the kill table, she picks up his knife, presses it against his throat, realizing she kind of has the upper hand now. And there's this weird kind of conversation. How do you like being threatened, she says, and Dexter doesn't like it. And Hannah says, you do this to all the girls that you go out with? And Dexter says he doesn't usually go out with girls. Hannah's like, so then what? What is this? Dexter said, this is what I do. I get connected to people and then I kill them. He's done it with the Trinity killer. He's done it with his brother, the ice truck killer. He's done it with all sorts of people, I'm telling you. Hannah said he kills people. Dexter tries to clarify and says bad people. Hannah says, so you think I'm bad? Dexter says, you fit the general description. Hannah says, you have no idea. Dexter kisses her and they have sex again. So it's like this weird, toxic environment. This weird relationship that these two are kind of setting up. And Dexter's had plenty of women that are partners in crime. He had Lumen. He had Lila, outside of Rita, of course, which is kind of fucking wild, if you ask me. That is really crazy to think about. That Dexter's had all these fucking women. So at Deb's beach house, she and Sal Price are kind of discussing Hannah, talking about the case. He's kind of bringing up some files and helping her with it, even though he kind of wants to keep it to himself. Just like Dexter, funny enough, to both of those two have the same motive to gain something. I don't know. It's weird, but it is what it is. So in the morning, as Dexter drives Hannah home, he speaks first. So he talks, they have some really interesting conversations, so I kind of want to gloss over them. This can't happen again. And she's like, which part? And Dexter says, the sex part. We can't have sex again. Hannah was kind of saying the same thing, and Dexter, part of him's like, why were you thinking this? Why? Shouldn't I be the one that's thinking this? I have kind of more to lose here. I don't have immunity like you do. Hannah says, we both know it wouldn't end well, this relationship, both of them, I'm sure, have been in, Hannah's been in relationships, even probably besides Wayne. Maybe not, though, actually. I don't know. Well, she had a husband. Dexter's confused, and Hannah says, you're not going to try and kill me again, right? And Dexter says, no. Dexter confirms, he's not going to kill her. Hannah says, whatever. Dexter says, you don't really seem that shaken up. For, being put on my table, you're not really scared. And Hannah says, yeah, you're right. Maybe she should be a little shocked, but she isn't. She's kind of desensitized. Dexter drops Hannah off and notices Sal sitting in his car nearby. He spied on Dexter. So now it kind of creates, this blackmail environment to where Dexter's going to have to do things for Sal to make sure he doesn't, put this shit in his book and expose Dexter as, a possible accomplice. Deborah tells Maria LaGuerta they should consider abandoning their investigation since all the evidence still points to James Doak as the Bay Harbor butcher, and they don't have, that storyline's still going on the side, and they don't have any evidence to disprove this, or, prove that anyone else even is it. Dexter searches Sal Price, but can't find anything to use against him, maybe a criminal record, trying to find some priors. He can't. Sal Price is clean as a whistle, and that's kind of out of the ordinary, because most people that he deals with seem to have something wrong, Deborah enters Dexter's office and shows him the blood spatter report from the Wayne Randall victims. And she's telling him, there's some sloppy work here. And this is when Dexter is like, fuck, Sal told her about this. Isaac Sirko's attorney wants to run their own analysis on the blood samples from the Mateo's bar, but Masuka discovers that it's missing from the freezer. They come there, and it's holy fucking shit, we can't do anything right. There's blood samples going missing. There's killers that are able to walk because we can't follow the Miranda rights. There's all this sorts of, fucked up shit going on in the department. And these guys are just not executing their job. They let someone, probably in their own apartment, right? We know it's Joseph Quinn, but no one else does. They let someone in their department sneak in there and steal shit. We can't have that happen, Hoping to recollect Isaac's blood, the homicide team returns to Mateo's bar to possibly pick some shit up. But the suit, literally, they can't pick shit up because there's shit on the floor. And whoever sabotaged them, let the sewage pipes burst, and it got all over the fucking place. So, it's really gross. So Dexter calls Deb from the bar to tell her that since no new evidence was found, he will take care of Isaac. I will get rid of this guy so he's no longer a problem for the department, and so we can find some justice here. Sal brings Deborah the address for Lori Kirkwood, the sister of Hannah's dead husband, so she can ask for an exhumation. And, more and more thing, Sal is like helping Deborah, kind of something that Dexter never did, while at the same time keeping fractions private. He obviously he's leading a double life here, Sal is. He's like some renowned crime writer, but he's also kind of a manipulator, so, yeah. Quinn checks on Nadia at her apartment, makes sure everything's good, makes sure her boss is not like doing shit against her since he got incarcerated. That could be really bad for her, those sort of things. Isaac was released from prison and finds George and 2 cops waiting outside. So yeah, they allow him to walk because they can't find the blood samples to retest. They lost evidence. They can no longer prove that he was at the scene of the crime now, so he can walk free. Deb visits Lori and asks to exhume her brother's body, explaining that he may have been poisoned by his wife and that she can reopen the case. Obviously, that's like very traumatic for a family member, and Deborah kind of realizes that, but yeah. Sal Price shows up at the Flower Mart and pressures Hannah for an interview. Because again, he's trying to get the inside scoop. He's doing his job, but I mean, it's a really fucking shitty job, and people like this are fucking annoying in my opinion. I really don't have sympathy for guys like that myself, so yeah. Saul calls Dexter, having decided to take him up on his Wayne Randall offer. So now, they set up a date. Not like a fucking date. Like, set up a time where they can meet each other and Dexter can tell him some things. Dexter researches the many murders that Saul covered during his career, and he's going to try to find one that doesn't have a killer so he can frame Saul. And Sal, whatever. Saul Goodman, who gives a fuck? Yeah, that's what he does as his last resort, pretty much. He frames people. Like, that's what Dexter does. He's good with evidence, of course. At the foxhole, Quinn orders George to give him Nadia's passport since he got rid of the evidence against Isaac. Like, for Nadia's protection, he's pretty much been doing this whole damn time. And George won't honor the deal, and like, what a fucking asshole. Of course, the Kafka Brotherhood always doing conny shit like this. Dexter tells Hannah that Sal saw them together when he dropped her off, and she tells him that Sal showed up at the Flower Mart wanting her to go on record about Wayne Randall and kind of talk to him about it. And so yeah, they tell each other their experiences with this guy. Like, this guy's an asshole. Like, he has to fucking go, like in the worst way. Sal doesn't need to die. Obviously, he's going out with his sister, so Dexter has kind of a soft spot for that. Deb and Lori meet at the morgue, and Jake's casket is opened. There was no embalmment, though. There was no protection, preservation of the corpse, so now he is fucking... There's no remains. It's just a skull. So, yeah. Deborah meets with Sal at a cafe and informs him that Hannah wouldn't allow Jake to be embalmed. So that makes it even more suspicious. Like, Sal sits at Hannah's table for the interview. Like, he shows up for that when the time comes. And, yeah. Dexter breaks into Sal's place, steals his toothbrush and dental floss for DNA, lifts his fingerprint to plant his DNA at a crime scene. Because you wouldn't be able to do that. It's not suspicious because you wouldn't be able to do that unless you were probably Sal himself. You wouldn't be able to have your DNA at the scene. No one knows that someone just broke into his house and framed him. And they can't really prove that if Dexter doesn't leave a trace. During the interview, Hannah describes the murder of the Johnson couple. I mean, she seems pretty genuine in this. Like, she has some emotions. It genuinely kind of gets to her. Yeah. Isaac approaches Dexter at a beachside cafe and helps himself to one of Dexter's fries, chips, whatever the fuck they call it over there. They kind of have conversations. They're sending each other threats. That sort of dynamic. Sal drops by Dexter's place for the interview, so he shows up for his interview, and this kind of ends up, the interview kind of ends up with a dispute. Sal grabs his chest, falls, hits his head against the table. Dexter trying to save his life because Dexter didn't do anything. Obviously, we know that Hannah fucking poisoned him. The homicide team arrives at the apartment, and Dexter's like, I don't know what the fuck happened. This guy just freaked out, and it looks pretty bad because it happens at a homicide person's house. So it's kind of weird, right? And they believe him. They're like, yeah, he's a good person. When Hannah is brought into the station for questioning, she seems unconcerned, like, I didn't fucking do anything. They obviously know she's been associated because of the book, and she said she didn't do anything, pretty much. You know, she's not going to be charged. She's immune to a lot of shit. Maybe not this, but like, yeah. Dexter pays Hannah a visit, forcefully knocking on her door. She says she kills him. Dexter says, you kind of put me in a fucked up position here because it made me look really bad, and yeah, that sort of thing. Hannah is worried about the book until Dexter says, I was at his apartment collecting DNA samples for my now defunct plan to get him to shut up, and I erased his research on you, so now no one can continue his research. It's all deleted. Quinn gives Angel a $10,000 check to help pay for his restaurant. This is for all the times, you know, Quinn is kind of like folded on the department and he wants to like pay him back in a way, and that's obviously a really nice gesture. Masuka gives Deborah the tox screen report from the ME on Sal Price, and it's negative. And yeah, she has a really good way at covering up this poison. Maria LaGuerta does some late night research. She sees Dexter's name on the list of Miami Metro employees to a list of boat owners. She's like, holy shit, Dexter could have done this. And this whole time she, you know, Dokes and Dexter kind of had something going. So maybe that can add to her case. It's going to be interesting to see if LaGuerta kind of cracks down. So at home, Deborah listens to Sal Price's final interview with Hannah. She then calls Dexter, who is in bed next to a sleeping Hannah, and wondering if he loves her. Dexter takes the call in a shock when Deb says there's to be some fucking justice. It's you, Dex. You know what I'm saying? She deserves it. I want you to make it right. Do what you do. And she's pretty much telling Dex to... It's crazy. A lieutenant of a police department, a homicide department, is telling her brother, who works in that department, to kill a suspected murderer. It's kind of a wild dynamic, but here we are in Dexter. I mean, the show is pretty crazy. But that's going to do it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to be doing a gameplay pretty soon here. I'm going to sell some cards off right now as I'm sitting here. I'll just keep some of these guys on the bench here. Sorry, I'm focused on my 2K because we got a gameplay coming out on Grady Dick, absolute Kansas legend. There's that. So we're going to pick up him. He's probably going to be on my squad. I'm going to sell Oscar Thompson to DeMar.